Hi, friends, and welcome to the Unattached podcast. I am your host, Tash, and this is the fourth episode. I am so excited to be making this episode right now because, in a sense, it's like a coming out for me. You're going to understand what I'm talking about soon enough, but definitely a juicy episode because I've been going through tremendous change in my life, the craziest of change, kind of experiencing something rather unique, rather taboo. And I've been a little bit quiet on the socials in terms of the videos I've been making because I've been going through such a transition in my life. And to be honest, I had no idea how to bridge the gap between who I was before and what I'm experiencing now and who I am becoming through this experience. So, yeah, I'm sure a lot of you guys can maybe relate to having an existential crisis in a sense where you're not necessarily the person who you were before. You're not necessarily identifying with any of that, whether that be in a job, in a relationship, in a way of being, but you're not quite where you're going. Like you're not that next version yet. So in a sense, it kind of feels like you're in no man's land. Um, yeah, I've been floating around in space for the past 2 months, and it's been actually kind of scary. Like I'm not gonna lie. For the last 2 years of my life, I have been making videos on TikTok religiously, speaking on avoidant attachment and getting very amazing results from that because I was speaking from my heart. I was so passionate about it because that's what I was going through in my life. And so it came super natural to me to just like think about that subject 24/7. It's all I was thinking about because that's all my growth was in regards to that. And so I literally had infinite ideas to share because I was so immersed in the subject itself. So doors kept opening for me in terms of that. Like things were falling on my lap, opportunities, like doors were opening because I was so aligned with that. And I think that's what happens in life. That's what I've noticed is when my like heart and soul and all of my energy is put into one thing, more comes of it. The universe is like, hey, that person's doing what they're supposed to be doing and they're passionate about it. Let's give them more. So, yeah, it was all pretty much set over the last 2 years where I woke up, I knew exactly what I was talking about. I was navigating my own path in regards to that. I was attracting amazing clients to me who wanted to hear my voice and my perspective. And I was so passionate in every one of my client calls and everyone that I met. And it was just like oozing out of me until it wasn't. Literally, it just like stopped 2 months ago. And since then, it's like I'm looking at the same subject. I'm looking at myself. I'm looking at my life. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, I just don't feel the spark. Like I don't want to think about that anymore. I don't think about that naturally. It's not like I was making an effort in the past. It was effortless. And now it's like, oh my gosh, I need to make a video. I need to show up in order to be active. And so I started making videos from this place of like, I need to. And they did friggin' terribly, like all of them. And then I started to panic. I'm like, oh no, like what's going on? Am I losing? What am I losing myself? Am I losing like what I built? I basically spent 2 years building this massive community of people that look to me for a certain thing. And all of a sudden, I don't give a shit about that thing. I don't want to say it that intensely because obviously I will always be able to speak on attachment theory and attachment styles. It's a huge part of my evolution. And I love that aspect. But what I've come to realize is that it doesn't encompass who I am at this point anymore. Like I do not identify with being a fearful avoidant. I identify with being myself. And there's like so much more to me than that. So that was something scary to come to terms with because I'm like, okay, well, in the social media world, I am Tash, the healing, fearful avoidant. Every video started the exact same. Hi, my name is Tash, and I'm a healing, fearful avoidant here to help you understand you or your partner's brain better. So that's my identity. And all of a sudden, I don't feel like that person anymore. All of this happened very, very abruptly. And I'll tell you what the catalyst was. But basically, the sentiment is that I am going through my path of healing and isolating myself to this one subject kind of just feels like it's dull. Like it doesn't encompass all of the colors of who I am as a person, all of my experiences, all of the healing, all of these different new things that aren't so niched, let's say. But all of this didn't come about um, randomly. Like I said, there was a catalyst to this realization. Oh, I'm starting to get nervous. I'm starting to get nervous because I will share it with you. But I do warn you, it is a little bit taboo. And the experience that I'm going through right now is something that a lot of you are probably not even familiar with, or maybe you've heard about it or watched a show about it or, seen movies with it. But it's likely that you've never had your own experience with it. Maybe you have. So talking on something that's a little bit different right now. But I do have to say before I tell you what it is, that a lot of my life, all of my life has been led forward or pushed forward by the things that land onto my lap. So when something comes to me, I roll with it because I've always felt like if this idea is coming to me, if this person is coming to me, if this, in the case of my TikTok 2 years ago, if I post one video on avoidant attachment out of fluke and it blows up, that is the guidance that is telling me, keep going in that direction. There's something here for you to learn. And that has always been my compass. For as long as I've known myself, that has been my compass. And I quite enjoy the way that I navigate my life. It's made it that my life is weird and interesting because it's being guided by what's given to me. And I've never confined myself to a box, to the way that I think life needs to be lived, to the way that people expected me to live my life. I've always done things my way, led by my intuition and by what life presented to me. So I will say that as a preface because what I'm about to say is going to be shocking to most, but here goes. 2 months ago, I was on Instagram, as I am, on a regular day, and I'd gone to the gym that day, and I posted a selfie at the gym. And later that day, someone popped up in my inbox, and what he said was, I'm going to paraphrase, "Goddess, I would be honored to be able to purchase your socks." So this person had been following the gym that I go to, and the gym had reposted the selfie that I posted that day. And I guess he was flipping through and he saw my photo, came to my profile, and asked me to purchase my gym socks. He said, I will pay $250 for them and I'd be honored to buy them, goddess. And so this is not the first instance that I'd been faced with this type of thing. I've been written to before in this kind of way. And so I read it and I dismissed it. I just left him on scene, carried on with my life. And the next day, I opened my inbox and he had written, "Or $500 if you laugh at me when you give them to me." At that point, I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, $500 sounds kind of nice. I'm not going to lie. Doesn't seem like this is too complicated. Now, obviously, you want to be careful with these types of things, you don't know if the person's a nut job, you don't know what's going on. So I looked into this person's profile, and all of his photos actually are of him kneeling on the ground at the feet of these beautiful, powerful women. And so I click into who is this woman, and it brings me to this uh, person who is a dominatrix and who does this professionally and openly, at least on social media, very openly. And then I start looking into all of these different things. And I realized that the person that wrote to me is someone who is a submissive and who clearly takes it seriously because he is in photos with women who take it seriously. And therefore, my logic at the time, having never like really dug into this subject, my instinct or my gut was like, okay, well, it seems like this person isn't just a random creep on the internet. Clearly, he does this properly. Now, I don't know what this is or what it means, but I'm gonna follow my gut and I'm gonna go with it. So, as I've always done in my life, I went with my gut and I spoke to him and I said, okay, I don't remember the exact conversation. I haven't seen it in months, but basically went back and forth a little bit just to get a feel for this person. And finally decided on a day for him to come meet me somewhere and do the exchange. Now, as the day is approaching, I'm kind of doing my research a little bit on dominance and on what it means to be in that position with somebody else and like how to do it properly and, all of those things, because I'm like, what the heck am I about to go do? I wanted to be prepared. For me, when I go into something, like having a bit of a basis makes me feel a little bit more confident, so I'm doing my research. The day arrives, okay, and I get dressed all up in black. This is what I think I need to be, right? I'm going by what I think I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm waiting and I am anxious. I am sweating from every orifice on my body. I am terrified to do this exchange. And this anxiety comes over me, okay, where if I'm tracking my thoughts in that moment and I tell you about them, it's what if I don't do this properly? What if I'm not good enough? What if I fuck this up? These are the types of thoughts that are coming through my mind as I'm going through a very real, like, anxiety, panic moment. I'm sweating. My hands are cold. They're clammy. I don't feel well. Um, so finally he shows up. I meet him. I'm walking towards the car and I remember feeling like I was dissociated. Like I wasn't even in my body anymore. I'm floating around and I know this feeling so well. It's like I feel so out of my body, so powerless, so scared. And I went to him, did the interaction, got the money. He was super kind. He was awesome, actually. I had a good feeling from him, but I walked away from that interaction feeling so disappointed in myself. I'm in this position of power, quote unquote, where I'm the person who is dominant and I am humiliating a submissive. Yet I'm panicking. I feel powerless. I'm questioning everything that I'm doing. I'm not in my body. I'm not in my power. And I walked away from that interaction beating myself up. So basically, if I can summarize all of that, within this 4-minute interaction, all of my things came to the surface in such an intense way. The self beat up, the self criticism, the questioning of self, the desire to be perfect for a man. Like, I don't want to do this wrong. So just looking at myself under a microscope and just wanting to contort in order to show up in a way that's correct. Like I need to do this right, or else I won't be chosen, or else I won't be loved, or else I won't be good enough. And in this 4-minute interaction, I lived every single emotion under the sun times a million. So all of my things. Now, as being the person that I am, as Tash, very big on understanding myself, very big on not wanting my fears to hold me back in my life, wanting to feel free, wanting to feel like myself, like my most empowered self. I saw this interaction as information. I saw this interaction as illuminating. It was a mirror. And I walked away from that thinking to myself, holy shit, that powerlessness is what I've felt with men my entire life. I have always self-abandoned for men, wanting to be good enough for men, wanting to show up properly for men. For what reason? I don't know. In that moment, it's bigger than me. I just leave my body. And all that matters in that moment is that I am submissive to a man so that he thinks I'm good enough, so that he chooses me. And I realized in that moment, I had stumbled upon something that can allow me to heal from this. And that was BDSM. Okay. It's crazy. So I leave that interaction, go into my apartment. I am shaky. I'm literally shaking. Okay. And I start viciously researching BDSM. What is this? What does it mean? What's happening? And the more I learn, the more I realize it is the two adults that are deciding on a power dynamic in a very conscious, communicative, open way, in a safe environment where you are consciously switching the power roles. And it goes even farther than that. There is so much beauty in dominating, and there is so much beauty in submission when it is done from a place of wholeness and presence and being in your body. Because the submissive is trusting the container and the safety that the dominant is creating. The submissive isn't handing themselves over, keeling over out of a place of choose me. You need to lead me because I can't lead myself. The submissive, when it's done in a healthy way, of course, because obviously this can be done in an unhealthy way, but we're talking about the healthy version. A submissive is handing themselves over to you because they feel safe and they are trusting you. And that is a gift. And oh my gosh, I don't know why this is just making me emotional. That's crazy. Okay. I'm getting emotional because I realized that, sorry, not sorry. This feels nice. I'm crying with you guys. I had been submitting my whole life because I was scared, and I've handed myself over to people who did not deserve it and who did not earn it or make me feel safe, because I just wanted to be loved. So, discovering this healthy, beautiful way of doing things in an extreme way. BDSM will take the thing itself and blow it up into a more extreme, intensive version so you can really feel it. It had taught me pretty quickly, or shown me like a mirror, what I had been doing my whole life. And that makes me really emotional because it's sad how long I've been powerless. So yeah. Dominance is also so beautiful because you are the one creating that safety for the other person. And it is such an honor to be submitted to, because that means that you have successfully created safety for somebody else. through your presence, your communication, your honesty, through your power. You are creating an environment where someone else can look at you and say, I trust you wholeheartedly with my body, with my emotions, and with my life, depending on, of course, what's agreed upon in your dynamic. So, needless to say, this whole thing completely shook up my understanding of who I had been showing up as and to what extent I had been abandoning myself for people who did not earn it. Okay. Whew. The last 2 months of my life have been such an incredible adventure, difficult, very confronting, but life-changing because it's helping me realize the depth of my disconnection, the depth of my disconnection to myself. And this also like permeates through my sexual life as well. Obviously, BDSM, if we go into it, there's also a sexual aspect if that's agreed upon. But it's shown me to what extent my sexual life had been performative, which is just another, like an extension of the self-abandonment, where it's not about me and my pleasure at all. It's really about how I'm being perceived and am I doing the right thing and do they like this? So it's all about the other person. And I always wondered why I didn't enjoy having sex. My whole life, I didn't enjoy it. And I'm realizing through this experience that it's because it was never about me. I completely threw myself in the garbage in that regard because I was more focused on doing things correctly for somebody else. And so for me, it was a lot of the sexual encounters I had were either completely dissociated. So I'm not even in my body anymore. And I'm not even in my body anymore. I'm not enjoying it. I'm just like, it's a performance or an automatic thing. Or in a lot of cases, when I was in a relationship with people, I would completely withdraw sexually and not give them anything at all because it was I had such a weird relationship to my sexuality. It was so uncomfortable. When I got comfortable with someone, I would recluse into avoidance of sexuality entirely. So with new people, it was this dissociated, self-abandoning submissiveness coming from this place of just wanting to be enough or chosen to a complete avoidance because I'm so uncomfortable in my own body and in my own sexuality. And just digging into that part of things, which is obviously something I've never done before. In my videos, I was just focusing on the fearful avoidance and the avoidance, the mental things, how it shows up in those ways, but it shows up in this way in so strongly. And what I've noticed is that sexuality and power is the root. It's like your root chakra. It's the basis. It's how you relate to yourself. It's your pleasure. It's your power. And that is the root from which everything else stems. So while I was targeting all of these other processes, being more my body, like my boundaries, my, all of those things, which are so important and have helped me heal tremendously, my sexuality was a part of the puzzle that I hadn't faced yet. And I always knew that there was something weird there. I knew it. I just didn't know how to address it. I didn't know where to go. And this person just stumbled into my inbox and my whole life did like a 180. And it's been insane to dig here because I truly believe that this is such a foundational part of our power. And it feels like it's like the root for myself. I don't think this is an uncommon experience for women, by the way. The more I'm talking about this these days with people, a lot of women are telling me, oh my gosh, I thought I was alone in feeling that way about sex. And I'm like, no, not alone, not alone at all. And it's sad because our pleasure, it's based in our power. Claiming your power, claiming your pleasure is that's your magnetism. That's you. That's your essence. And we are cut off from that. And I've always seen, I don't know why this is coming up. I've always seen women on social media talking about sexuality and this and that, and it's done in a, like whatever way they're doing it. And I'd be like, almost like a repulsion to it. I'd look away, like, oh, what are you doing? But I'm realizing that I understand now what that messaging is. It is powerful. So powerful, so fucking important. So yeah, I have a pet now. We have been in a DS relationship for 2 months. DS being dominant submissive. And this relationship has changed my life and I think given me my power back. It's crazy. I feel like I've healed more in these 2 months than I've healed in my entire life. It's like a fast track. It's crazy. I'm so excited to be sharing this with you. Also very sweaty as I'm sharing it because it's obviously out of the norm, but I think that's a little bit on brand if you know me. So yeah, I do have a pet. He is phenomenal. He is an incredible, powerful, kind, masculine, safe person. And he has shown me what it means to be in my power. Basically, he serves me. And what that means is whatever it is that I need done or whatever it is that I want, I tell him. And his purpose is to serve me in the way that I'd like. And so it's really interesting because to have somebody come over and I teach him how I like my place cleaned and don't miss a spot and cook me dinner and walk my dog and do these things, okay? Basically facilitating my life and treating me like an absolute goddess, which is what he calls me. In the beginning, I was hitting this wall, very interesting wall, where he was serving me and I felt like I owed him something in return. I think a lot of women can relate to that as well, where it's like, okay, but why are you doing so much for me? Like, what is it that I owe you? Like, I want to give back. It's like this selflessness that women don't believe. And maybe I'll just speak for myself. I did not believe that I deserved any of those things just because I exist. That was a foreign concept to me. So what would happen is after he was done doing the things that I had asked, I would let him sit on the ground and then I would talk to him for an hour after, even though I was tired or had things to do for work. I would put those things aside to chat because I felt that that's what he wanted. And so I wanted to make sure to make him happy because he had just given to me. And the act of just receiving without feeling guilty or bad, that was foreign. I didn't know how to do that. And so that was one of the first lessons that I learned in this dynamic was that I would do this and this permeates through my entire life. I've always been a very hyper independent person. I moved 6 or 7 times last summer. And every time I moved, it was a freaking crazy summer, I did it on my own. I never asked for help. And that is a way that I have kept myself safe in my life. Like, I got it. I could do everything. It's fine. Hyper independence, where I don't let people in. I don't give people an opportunity to help me, though I would spend hours talking to people on the phone about their things or helping them move. Of course, for some reason, when it came to me, I was like, I got this. I could do everything on my own. It's fine. And I think that's in big part because it didn't feel safe to ask for help. And it made me feel weird that people were helping me or I'm letting people in. And when this was brought to my attention through this situation, what dawned on me is that when I block myself off from receiving, not only am I not allowing the people in my life, an opportunity to give back to me when I give to them, and it's like people want to give to you. People want to care for you in that way. It feels good to give. It feels good for me to give. So I'm robbing people of the opportunity to support me, which is a beautiful thing and a community builder and a relationship builder between two people. So I'm cutting that off. And I'm also severing myself off from receiving from the universe, like being an open vessel. Like, I deserve to receive and I give and I receive and life is good. And the universe is like, oh, she's open. Let's give her more. So, I mean, obviously this is not a science, but I believe that my relationship to receiving affected the abundance that was available to me because I was unconsciously cutting it off by being so self-protective and putting these big walls around me. So that was like, I processed that for a couple of weeks. I was struggling through that one. I was so emotional, and my sub was amazing because, I mean, he is amazing because whenever these things come up, I'd be like, okay, come over. Like, I need to talk this through. Like, I'm going through this thing. And he's just there listening and listening. And it felt so incredible to go through these big life things that I've carried with me throughout my entire life. And we're here just like unearthing them together. And I had just met this person. Yet, because this dynamic is so like extreme, it requires honesty, openness, and so much communication. Like, you kind of don't have a choice because it's so extreme. It's going to trigger those things. So yeah, definitely felt like a fast track to healing. That's for sure. That is what it feels like currently. So yeah, that was one of the first lessons that I had learned in this relationship, amongst so many, and I'm sure so many more to come. The truth is, at this point in my life, I am veering away from identifying with my wounded self. I spent 2 years identifying with the wound and leading with the wound as like the main thing. Like, I'm wounded. Let me help you understand your wounded partner. Let me help you understand your wounds. And while that's so important and it's so helpful to many, and like the amount of people that I've spoken to are a testament to how important it is and in one's journey to understand this stuff. Because, well, first of all, avoidance can be very difficult to understand for someone who doesn't understand avoidance. So just having those conversations is so illuminating and such an important part of healing and of the process. I have to say that I am feeling way more passionate about the journey of healing than I am with staying in the wounds. And though I don't quite know what this next phase has in store for me, I am definitely trusting that whatever power is guiding me in this direction knows what's best for me. So this podcast episode is my coming out. And I will still be making videos on avoidance and all of those things. And I would love to continue talking to you guys about these things. And I will always be a resource for that kind of information. And I will still come out with courses for that and things of that nature. But I'm ready to start bringing in all of the colors of who I am, what I'm going through, and everything that I learn along the way. Because ultimately, I believe that when you talk about the thing that's most alive for you, the thing that feels effortless, that is the thing that's going to bring you the most joy, the most fulfillment. And yeah, I guess having faith in that and in yourself is what's most important. So I'm going to cut this here. There's plenty more to say, but I'll leave that for future podcast episodes. I'm so excited to continue learning and sharing. And I just so appreciate you guys for being here with me along on my journey. It's really insane to be a human on this planet. Like it boggles my freaking mind what we go through and how much we juggle and what we learn. And life is just here pushing us along on our path. So if I can urge you to do anything, it's being aware of the little signs and signals that the universe is giving you, because it's constantly prompting us to move in the next direction. And when you open up your eyes to that magic and to those signs, life just unfolds the way it's meant to. I don't think it's meant to be forced. It's an unfolding. I love you guys. I hope you guys have a beautiful week. I will see you in the next podcast.